Hey there, you're listening to the Not So Breakfast Show with Sasha and Ish. Alright, welcome to the Not So Breakfast Show today, and this is the one about exploring your next opportunity. How do we take advantage of opportunities that are coming or maybe around us right now? It's kind of like a sequel to the Superpowers episode. If you haven't listened to that one, maybe listen to that one after this one. Also in this session, I get in and ask the hard questions. So what's it like? Like, what's it actually like pulling babies out of women all day? And what the...
Yeah, like I love, this is gross, you might need to edit this. I love those pimple popper clips.
Alright, that's the show. Let's get it. Alright, welcome to the Not So Breakfast Show today, and this is the one about finding your next opportunity. Because everyone else is resigning, maybe we should give that a go. Or maybe we should just stick it out, because I think opportunity is coming for those that stay. And of course, opportunity is there for those that spread their wings. And we're going to have a great discussion on this today, aren't we, Sasha?
Yes, we are. The inches we need are all around us.
Great movie.
I reckon there is opportunity everywhere. When I was reflecting earlier today, I was on a group call, and the team building exercise, love that shit, at the start was to tell everyone where you're at or how you were feeling, but do it in the form of a weather forecast. So I missed the introduction, so I didn't know what other people had done. And presumably they went, it's a little bit cloudy, or it's a bright sunny day, or it's raining. So I said, because this is my truth right now, that it is absolutely pouring. But it's not rain that's coming down. There's money. Manna from heaven is coming. And my job is to get the bucket and run around and put the bucket in the right place. But like an old-fashioned kind of Space Invaders game, I have to be collecting the money at the same time as in amongst the rains of money, it's also raining chainsaws that have been started. It's also raining knives. It's got bullets that will wound you, bullets that will kill you, and then there's also some babies and some puppies.
And you got to catch those.
You got to catch those. So with your bucket, you're going, catch the baby, spend a moment with the baby, pet the puppy. Oh, there's some money. Oh, don't get hit by the flaming chainsaw. And that's, I think, sometimes how opportunity presents. It's always there, but when all you're doing is ducking the chainsaws, you don't see the... Yeah, so I think it's an interesting idea that we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Opportunity everywhere. How do you identify?
And I tell you what, if it ever starts raining chainsaws, the last thing on your mind will be, I wonder if they're running. If you get hit by a chainsaw, regardless of whether it's running or not, it's lights out.
It's going to hurt you.
And this is quite a good topic, because I think it leverages off the one we did a couple of weeks ago, which was finding your superpower. Like finding what you are great at and having that awareness to be able to then monopolize on it or leverage off it, because the opportunity is everywhere. But what should you pursue and what could you create is a real interest of mine as well. So the first question we're going to start off with today is, if you didn't do what you do now, what would you do? The world's your oyster. Blank piece of paper. No excuses about, well, I'm not trained to do that. But what would you do? Because this is an interesting question.
Well, when we go out with a bunch of women friends, we often remark about what would have happened if we'd just married richer earlier. So it's like, what if we didn't have to work at all? Like, what would that be like? Like if you weren't working for money? So, like, you can answer that question in a number of different ways, right? I am enormously grateful for the financial freedom that I have in my life, and I've only got that because I met my husband. Make no mistake, I wouldn't have made it any other way. But it's like, are you doing it for the money, or are you doing it for the love? Or yeah, we can trip ourselves up trying to answer the question. But if you're saying, look, you've still got to earn money, so this is an opportunity that's about career or your job, what would you do now? Oh, it's a great question. What would you do?
Well, you know what's funny? Because I would probably do this. Like if I could just work online doing podcasting and selling product, I reckon I'd be in my happy space if that was my thing. If I could really generate great income off it, replace what I'm earning now with some online, I think that's what I'd double down on. I'd really love to do that.
Yeah, so I was going to say, so why don't you then, right? Why don't you? But then you explained that you had to replace your existing income.
Yeah, see, that's the catch. And we're going to talk about that because I think there is ways to organically test markets and organically test things that is low risk without you having to take the leap. But I know people, that have completely changed careers at a time in their life where others would be going, wow, that's a big change. Like I know someone that became a nurse and they were like 45. Well, they weren't like 45, they were 45. I know someone that trained to be a midwife and they were in their 40s. And it was kind of like a fast step from what they were doing. So suddenly when we look at the perspective of things, if that was something that you were passionate about, regardless of age, it's still something you can do.
Oh, look, it's never too late to get started. I love that idea. I mean, one of the people that I'm so enjoying at the moment is Hannah Waddingham. So she is in Ted Lasso.
Right.
She plays the boss. No spoiler alerts there. In Ted Lasso, she sings. But she sings well, but not amazingly. And so I researched and found out she used to be in the West End. She's lots of time on stage. She's also, you've watched Game of Thrones, eh?
Yes.
So you've watched some Ted Lasso?
Yes, all of them.
Okay. So did you know that Hannah Waddingham, who plays Bex in Ted Lasso, is the woman in Game of Thrones who walks through the marketplace ringing the bell saying shame, shame, shame?
No, I did not know that.
Mind blowing. Compare the two images of that kind of sack, ashened, clothed nun woman with Hannah Waddingham, right?
Yeah.
But she's 48 and she's been a West End actress, singer, doing bits. The reason she didn't sound amazing as Beck singing is because the character is not an amazing singer. She's just performed with Michael Bublé on his Christmas special.
Wow.
And she is phenomenal. And if you'd said to her 2 years ago, look, you're on the West End, but you're a bit past it now. No one's going to cast you. And her whole career has just taken off. And she's taking the opportunities, right? She's not going, well, no, I'm not going to be on the Michael Bublé Christmas special because that's not what I do. She's going, let's go, let's take it. So I'm taking a long time to say it's never too late to be discovered. It's never too late to start something new.
Yeah. I loved it. One time I saw a Michael Bublé concert. It was recorded, and this mum was just pushing her kid to be on stage with Michael Bublé. I don't know if you remember this. And finally, just like gives it. He's like, okay, fine. Puts him on the stage, and then basically he sings a line and then gives him the microphone, and he just belts out as good as Michael Bublé. And I just remember what he said because he turned to the mum and goes, holy shit balls, mum. And she's like, I know. But just that, here's an opportunity. I'm going to push my kid forward. And there is stuff in that that's amazing. But then also our willingness to take a risk, to explore opportunities is a big part of opportunity as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking a little bit more about your question. I don't know exactly what I'd do, but I would have no hesitation to retrain.
Yeah.
I know that. So I've, as a woman I follow in New Zealand, Emma Espiner, and she went back to med school quite late, later in the piece, and she's having a phenomenal impact now in our health system. And jeepers, I would love to be able to do something like that if that was what struck me at the time.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So sometimes when we might be exploring opportunities, there might be an opportunity to leverage off our contacts. So who do you know that works in an industry that you might be able to talk to just go, so what's it like? Like, what's it actually like pulling babies out of women all day? You can have that conversation.
See, I love what you're saying there because it's about recognising opportunities all around us. But also I think what many of us like to do is just romanticise what it would be like to do something different. So we go, it suits us to stay where we are now, just doing what we always have done, but saying, well, wouldn't it be great if I could be an X?
Yeah.
And then doing nothing about it. So it gives us a little bit of hope. But actually, if you go and talk to people about it, then you have a bit of a reality check about what it would or wouldn't be. And I know it's funny you said midwives, because when I had the kids, didn't have a midwife, I had an obstetrician, right? I had surgeries to get my babies out. But I remember in the first few days of both babies, I just remember having this thought that I have to change what I do and work with babies, because the miracle of birth is so renewing and refreshing, and I'd never be tired. You spend 10 minutes talking to a midwife and they'll tell you how hard it is to be up all through the night. Of course they're tired, despite the miracle of birth.
Yeah.
So, but I was romanticizing it in my head, right? Going, oh, this would be amazing.
I love it when they go, oh, childbirth, it's natural. It's like, yeah, it's about as natural as getting out of your car through the exhaust pipe. That's how natural it is.
Death is natural, but we're not all rushing to do it.
But the talking to someone is such a good thing to do, because I think if you are younger, you can sometimes fall into the trap of, oh, well, I need to go to uni, so I'll do this thing. And we can all name people who have gone and studied something that they just never, ever did again. You know, I was have a joke with one of my best mates, because he studied interior design, which is hilarious because he's colourblind. And I'm not going to name and shame on this, but I remember when he came home, he was showing one of the things that they had to do, their portfolio, and we were looking at the colours going, I'm not sure that those colours go together. He goes, what do you mean? I'm like,
and he knew he was colourblind.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was an interesting choice and an expensive way to do it. In fact, I remember a radio show and you had to ring up and say what you were trained in, but then say what you were doing. Right. So it was the one with the biggest student loan. And some guy was a helicopter pilot and he's delivering pizzas. Yeah. And so suddenly you come out with this $100,000 loan or whatever it is, and a perspective that says, well, I now know that I definitely don't want to do that. I'm like, well, that's an expensive way to explore an opportunity. And is there ways to explore an opportunity that's more organic or maybe more low risk?
Yeah, like I love, this is gross, you might need to edit this, I love those pimple popper clips. and on Snapchat there's one called like Beauty Secrets or something, and they show all this like Dr. Pimple Popper, and I think it's so cool. And I think about, I'd like to do that. It's kind of the closest I'd get to surgery, right? Surgical. But then I think about doing it on people that I've never met before, and I go, oh no, I've got a little bit of vomit. Oh no. And that's how I can, you can do a series of thought experiments where you go, I imagine myself as an artist. And you go, okay, good. And then what does that actually mean that you do? Or I want to be a writer. You know that writers go down to the garden shed every day and sit alone for 4 hours, and sometimes the words come and sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
I want to own a coffee shop. Okay, how good are you at working with young people? Because all of your staff will be young. When was the last time you were on your feet for 8 hours a day? When was the last time you had to deal with someone who's a little bit obnoxious and they'll turn out to be your best customer and you've got to be nice to them? All of that stuff that go, don't romanticize this, because if anyone's any good at it, they're making it look easy.
That's great. That is really good advice. And then you kind of go, is there a way that you might be able to explore it by talking to someone, or explore it by trying it out some way through your contacts? Maybe you go
working. Are you asking me to do surgery on one of your pimples?
I was thinking I could come work at the coffee shop for a day. I don't know. But there might be things that we could do. But yeah, if you've got a pimply friend, that's like living bubble wrap.
Well, the funny thing that's happening at our house is that Portia had talked about, the possibilities of maybe wanting to get into med school. And I'm not going to crush her dreams. I'm going, honey, you can do anything you want, but it's a lot of work and it's really hard to do. What she's doing at the moment is just watching Grey's Anatomy on repeat. So every time something medical comes up over the dinner table, she'll go, oh yeah, that's because of the necrotizing fasciitis, and what you have to do for that is. And I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, Grey's Anatomy.
We'll be right back.
If there was one skill that could double your income, advance your career, and increase your ability to influence, it is the skill of presenting. Whether it's on stage, in the boardroom, or at a job interview, the 30-Minute Presenter program will help take you to the next level. So check out our Instagram page, click the link in the bio, and get started on the 30-Minute Presenter program. Brilliant, brilliant. Actually, one thing I would have loved to have done that I didn't do, and I wouldn't do it now, but if I had known back then, I might have explored it more, is become a builder. Like, I would have loved to have been a tradie. And
You did
actually...
You did your bathroom.
Yeah, well, see, that's it. So I can do a little bit of stuff, and I've kind of taught myself some things like that. But I really love the idea of, especially now, like, honestly, if I was listening to me and I was 18, I'd be like, go do a trade for the next 10, 15 years and then decide if you want to swap into something else. Like, I don't know anyone that has regretted doing times in trade. And the good thing is you can do that apprenticeship style to trade. So it's, you could do it for a year, decide it's not you, and you're not walking away with a massive student loan. Like, you've actually got some life skills and you've got some investment and some skills that are useful, or you might stick at it for a period of time. And like exploring that kind of stuff, I think is really, really interesting.
So what I quite like about what you're saying too is, I'm always going to come to the self-awareness thing where you go, what's it actually all about for you? So for you, it might be that you would quite like to be a builder, but it might also be that you get a whole lot of pleasure from making stuff. And so you go, get a hobby. Go and do a furniture making course, because your primary income source is what pays your mortgage and feeds your family. And does this need to be my career, or is it a hobby? So for me, for example, if you asked what would I do if I wasn't doing this, that's a different question to what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail. And for me, that answer's really clear. I would be selling out stadiums where I sing and tell stories.
Well,
that's what I would do. Unquestionably, that's what I would most love to do. Now, I'm not so stupid as to know I don't have a voice that's going to pack out stadiums. I tell great stories, but there's not a market for that yet. That might be a thing.
Okay.
So singing for me is a hobby. I get great enjoyment from it. I want to get better at it. But I'm realistic enough to know that's not going to be my career. So the opportunities in my career are to incorporate some singing into the talks that I do. That's it.
But just being able to even identify, well, if I did want to do it more, what skill set, what investment, who could I leverage experience from?
Yeah.
Is just such a cool thing. Like, I remember, obviously my wife Jo, she runs a music team and does all that kind of stuff. And so I wanted to join, and she's like, yeah, but you don't sing or play
Which
an
is
instrument.
different from, yeah, but you can't sing.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that's good. She said you don't sing.
Yeah, so then I was like, well, not yet. I don't. So I brought a guitar and I taught myself
right
the guitar.
There. Just stop before you go on about your guitar thing, which I want to hear in all its beautiful detail. What you've just said is absolute genius. She says, but you don't sing. And you say, not yet. And isn't that the answer to everything? Oh, but you don't know how to run a company. Not yet. You don't know how to be a lawyer. You don't know how to design shoes. Not yet.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and that becomes the attitude of focus. And then I learnt the guitar, didn't learn it to shred any Guns N' Roses. I learnt, how to cheat 4 or 5 chords and play things with a capo, and learnt some singing techniques, which are useful to have for when karaoke night comes up every now and then. So all of those skills are useful. And it was something I wanted to focus on at the time. Interestingly, the other day, so our toilet broke and it just started running. And it just was running down the back. And I was like, I know how to fix that. Took it apart, found a washer, took it in, got a new washer, put it in. Well, when I was putting it back together, because it's an older toilet, it's just a bit brittle. And the actual connection that it screws into broke. The little wee kind of clips came off. And I was like, oh no. Now I literally have to take the whole system apart. So take the whole thing apart, take it into Reese's Plumbing, to a couple of other places. They go, oh, we've got the top bit. I go, well, I've already got the top bit. And they go, well, you can't fix the bottom bit. And I said, yeah, but I need the bottom bit. And they go, well, they don't make it anymore. Now they kind of build them into the toilet. I'm like, so I can't fix it. And they go, no, you just have to buy a whole new cistern, a whole new toilet. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I was driving home and I thought to myself, well, if I could fix it, how would I fix it? I took it into the garage and I looked at it and I thought, well, there's no pressure on this piece. They literally just have to be held together. And so I fixed it with zip ties and put it all back together. Get another 10 years out of that toilet,
That
Sarge.
was amazing. And you've only had to have the carpet cleaned 3 times since then when a little bit of poo came out.
That's it. But it's so funny, eh? Like, it just becomes I just wanted to figure out if I could do it. Like, I don't really want to buy a whole new system, but there we go. So when you do have some focus.
It's the not yet, I don't know how to do it yet. And that question that you and I have shared before, when people say, I don't know, or I can't decide. Yeah, but if you could, what would you do?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you could fix it, how would you go about it? Well, I'd have to, and your solution comes up, right? So we're talking about opportunity, and we've partly been sort of expressing this in terms of maybe change in career or in direction or in hobbies. But there's also lots of opportunities within what we're doing right now, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think the opportunity for within what we're doing right now is going to get bigger, because right now we have a lot of people swapping jobs or coming out of what they do and they're deciding to do something else. And the danger at the moment is we invest in the new talent coming through and we neglect the existing people. And I think that there is opportunity for those existing people to look at reinventing roles, to level up into a position that might have become available all of a sudden that hasn't never been available before. And you might do a bit of a skill analysis of what you need to do, or just express your interest to your manager, to your leader, and say, I would like to do that role. What would I need to do for you to take me seriously in that role? And they might say, if you did this course, banging, you're in. So look for what is also around you right now, because sometimes the grass does look greener on the other side of the fence. And
it might just be not even a role so much as a project. So I can think of an example, and it's, well, I shouldn't share it if it's a bad one. So I'm just about to say it's not a very good one, but here we go.
That's why we edit, though. So let's...
Yeah. So it's not that it's not a good example. It's not directly transferable, but let me share it anyway. We had a Coffee Culture staff Christmas party, and there was a table tennis table there. And I thought, this is good, we've got a table tennis table at home, I can hold my own. I mean, obviously everyone in my house beats me all the time, but I'm not a slouch. I can get the ball back, keep the rally going. This is fun. One of my business partners, let's call him Mike because that's his name, he also fancies himself as a bit of an athlete, I can see him picking up the bat, going, he's got a bit of game. Out of nowhere, Uncle Buzz, who's our oldest employee, he goes, oh yeah, I've played a bit of table tennis. And we're kind of going, pfft, because if you've seen this guy walk, you're not going to go, well, yeah, that's an immediate athlete right there. He was really good at pony club when he was a kid, and he walks like he was good at pony club. As they're about to start playing, I go, you've played a bit before. And Murray goes, oh yeah, West Coast champion. And so part of me goes, West Coast champion. If you're listening from overseas, there's about 3 people that live on the West Coast. So maybe it's not that hard to be the champion. Within about 2 shots of the bat, Mars is just destroying and is amazing. And it's this whole revelation where you go, someone's got this skill that you've never seen. It's never come up in conversation. Now, within Coffee Culture, we can't monetize that skill of playing table tennis. But it made me think, what other skills do people have that are lurking around that you just don't know are there? Yeah. And how might bringing those skills into the work environment help your organisation, but also help that person flourish? And I think there's lots of stuff that we just don't know people do because we don't ask.
So coming back to your original question, probably back to me, was why aren't you doing that? And really, why don't we have a conversation around that? Because really this understanding of what's blocking you or what's stopping you from taking an opportunity is interesting to explore. So for some people, it will be the financial gap. I'm not prepared to take the risk right now, but I might organically build something up to a point where I'd be prepared to walk away from it. Or it might just be there's a skill gap. Or it might just be I'm just scared. I just don't know if I can do it. What sort of things might we be able to do in that situation?
Those test runs are really good. So if someone says, I want to be a motivational speaker and I want to inspire people everywhere, I'm going to say don't give up your day job, but go and do a free little talk somewhere and get some feedback from the audience and hone your craft and get better. And that's a little risk-free trial. The only thing that's at stake there is your ego. If you want to go and be a singer, go and join a choir or an amateur dramatic or whatever. You think you might like to start a cupcake business, so bake some cupcakes and give them away to people and get in there and try some stuff as a starter. Because that's to help you get over the fear. So I got a belief that we can't think our way out of fear. We can only act our way out of fear. So when you're standing at the top to do a bungee jump, and I'm speaking in theory because I would never be so stupid to go anywhere near that ledge, I understand that if you're on the edge of the ledge, you can't just wait for your brain to go, now's a good time, because there's just never going to be a good time. The only way to get over that fear is actually to jump. I mean, have you bungee jumped?
No, I've done the paragliding where you run off the cliff.
That wasn't my question. I just said,
have I bungee jumped? I have jumped off things, but no, not bungee jumped.
Okay, no, good. So we're even. Good. That's all I care about. Why are we giving advice on how to get over your fear?
But we've done scary stuff, with speaking in front of people. It's one of the biggest fears that people have. But you're right, and if I kind of liken it to comedians hone their craft by doing small clubs and practicing material in small clubs before they get on stage. They don't just get on stage and just go, I might just try that weird joke I came up with the other day. That stuff is practice, and their ability to get on a big stage is because of hours that they've done in a small stage.
That's that whole overnight success thing, right? People aren't overnight successes. They spend lots of years getting good at this stuff. So to your point about if you're scared, start small.
Yeah. Start
small. Don't take the risk of hiring out a big venue and inviting all your friends and family. Just start small.
So maybe if we recap through this conversation, we were like looking at what you're great at, so leveraging off your superpower. And if you haven't listened to that one, I'd go back and listen to that episode. If you didn't do what you do now, what might you do? And maybe even frame it, if you couldn't fail, what might you have a look at? And just kind of see what your awareness is or what your interest is. Leverage your contacts. Who do you know that you could talk to, or who could maybe support you, or could you do a trial run? Could you do a day at a coffee shop or whatever it is that you want to explore? That's really useful. That's
super useful. Sorry, so I just have to interrupt and say, yes, do a day at a coffee shop, but not mine.
Except Sasha's, because you'll end up making the super hot macchiatos. And look at your upskill. Is there an upskill opportunity that you could take advantage of? Or what do you need to know in order to get to a position? And then how can you gain experience or skills organically without maybe having to make an immediate leap? So what opportunities are around you right now in amongst the business that you work in that you could start to take advantage of, or at least put it on your manager or your leader's radar that you're interested in that? Because, that is leadership, creating opportunity for other people to grow. If they see that you want to grow, maybe they'll create that opportunity for you. And then what's stopping you or blocking you from taking that new opportunity, identify it, and then maybe just, give it a crack.
Give it a go, mate.
Give it a go. You'll be fixing toilets in no time.
Woo! I want to ask Ash, have you been watching the Beatles documentary?
No.
Okay, so if you're of a certain age, watching the Beatles documentary is amazing. It's like 9 hours of footage, and all you basically do is watch them in the studio where they are coming up with the songs.
Wow.
But because we know the songs, it's the most surreal experience because they don't know the songs yet because they're writing them in front of us. So they'll start with like a little riff, and then they'll add a little bit here, and then they go away, they come back and they play around with some words that are close to what the eventual words are. And so I experience it as I watch it almost like a cheerleader or a fan encouraging them. I'm going, you're almost there, Paul. You're almost there. You just go up a little bit at the end of the second line. you just repeat Let It Be, and then we do Let It Be again, and then as it gets closer and closer to it, you go, yes, yes, and there's no stress and pressure watching because you know it all turns out well in the end, and it's amazing to watch. Highly recommend it if you've got the patience, because there are bits of it that's like watching paint dry,
right?
Because nothing much happens, and then all of a sudden a song just genius, musical genius.
Have you seen the Elton John movie? And so he doesn't write any of his own lyrics, right? So he gets his lyrics written with, who's the guy? Do you remember?
Bernie Taupin.
So
thank you for thinking I might not remember.
Look, you are an encyclopedia of facts, Saj.
Of tragic old people's music, yes.
But yeah, so they got put together, right? Because Bernie was writing just lyrics that were weird, and then suddenly they kind of connected through their director or manager, whatever you call it. But what fascinated me about it is that Elton John would just literally sit down, look at the words, and just start playing the song. Like, that kind of blew my mind. Like, I mean, I love Elton John, so when I hear his stuff, there's just something about it. And my girls now are loving Elton John because of all the artists that he's, doing some stuff with. And, this new one.
I mean, you talk about opportunity, right? Here's a guy who just reinvents himself, brings back old songs, loves new music, passionate about new artists. That's what I want for myself, is to go, my question for myself is not, what's my next opportunity? It's how can I create opportunities for others? And that's cool. That's cool. Let's all be Elton.